Welcome to N3 Primetime. I'm Angie Russ, and Gary has a jam-packed show for you tonight. First up, Speaker Kevin McCarthy stuns the nation, launching an impeachment inquiry into President Biden. The response? Also, the Biden administration's controversial war room. Is this an attack on journalistic integrity? Then, two incredible tales of two presidents. How Trump and Biden's treatment of Gold Star families couldn't be more different. Also, cyber attacks cripple Las Vegas. Caesars pays up. But what does this mean for America's digital future? Over in Georgia, Governor Kemp declares a state of emergency over what he calls Bidenomics. But is it enough? And lastly, the left-wing push to keep Trump off California's ballot in 2024. Election interference or due process? Don't forget, we want to hear from you in our comments section later in the show. And stay tuned for Looking at You, where we spotlight someone stirring the pot that you need to know more about. Gary, over to you.
Good evening, America. Welcome to N3 Primetime. At this hour, breaking news emerges that could ripple through the very fabric of our nation. Hunter Biden, the son of President Joe Biden, faces serious charges that could lead to decades in prison. Our nation's at a crossroads, a place where integrity, leadership, and security hang in the balance. Whether it's this bombshell indictment, the polarizing attempt to impeach a sitting president, the heartbreaking neglect of our Gold Star families, or cyber attacks threatening our livelihood, each narrative exposes cracks in our republic's foundation. States like Georgia grapple with economic turmoil and efforts to sideline Trump further question our republic. These aren't just headlines, they're a call for action, for leadership, and for return to America's core values. So in a significant turn of events, Hunter Biden, the son of President Joe Biden, faces potentially staggering 25 years in prison after being indicted on 3 gun-related charges. This could be seen as a triumph for conservatives, as 2 counts center on alleged false declarations made during a 2018 Colt Cobra revolver purchase, asserting no illegal drug use. The third suggests narcotic use while in possession of the firearm. With 10 years for 2 charges and 5 for the third, the consequences are grave. This comes after a plea deal disintegrated at the time when House Republicans have begun an impeachment inquiry into both Bidens. Now, spearheaded by the special counsel David Weiss, a Trump appointee in the case, he initiated in 2018. It zeroes in on Hunter's financial dealings. More updates to follow on this potentially monumental indictment. So in the midst of such instability, consider our current scenario like a fragile house of cards. One wrong move and it collapses. Similarly, since the 1970s, the U.S. dollar's plummeted in value by 85%. With looming elections and the government's unchecked printing spree, our financial system teeters on the edge. Yet gold remains steadfast against inflation. Secure your future with Noble Gold Investments, and they'll fortify your portfolio with a free quarter-ounce gold standard coin. Dial 877-646-5347 or visit nextnewsgold.com. Don't let your financial house topple like the Bidens. Angie, what stories will you be diving into on tonight's episode?
Well, Gary, first, New Mexico's governor tries to ban guns, and a federal judge says not so fast. What does this mean for your Second Amendment rights? Then Iowa, the starting line for presidential hopefuls. Trump leads, but DeSantis, Scott, and Haley are on his heels. Can anyone dethrone the former president? And get this, a manhunt ends as Pennsylvania State Police capture convicted murder and illegal immigrant Danielo Cavalcante. His escape and capture ring alarm bells on immigration policy. Plus, Mitt Romney throws in the towel, but does anyone in the GOP care? And finally, Biden's own party is questioning his fitness to lead. Will he even make it to the next election? Each story tonight unravels a thread in the fabric of our American values and constitutional freedoms. You won't want to miss it. Gary, take it away with your first special report.
Good evening, America. This is a special report you can't afford to miss. Why? Because the White House is in panic mode. Not just because Hunter Biden has been indicted and is facing 25 years, but because President Biden is so fearful of the impeachment inquiry led by House Republicans, his team is literally begging the media to be their knight in shining armor. They want the media to scrutinize the Republicans, accusing them of opening an impeachment inquiry based on lies. Can you believe that? Now stay with me for the whole special report, because in our final thought, we're going to dissect why the American people need to be highly concerned about this seemingly desperate White House maneuver. So let's dig in a little bit deeper, shall we? Speaker Kevin McCarthy, a man not prone to political grandstanding, drops what might be the most serious impeachment inquiry bombshell in recent history, and he's clear. He and his team have found serious and credible allegations into President Biden's conduct, a culture of corruption. Just like that. A sitting U.S. president, the same man who vowed to restore the soul and dignity to the Oval Office, is now facing allegations of corruption so significant that it has united the House Oversight, Judiciary, and Ways and Means Committee under one chilling word: impeachment. Let's revisit McCarthy's Tuesday announcement of the inquiry.
Months that we were gone and the weeks, House Republicans have uncovered serious and credible allegations into President Biden's conduct. Taken together, these allegations paint a picture of a culture of corruption. Now, here's what we know so far. Through our investigations, we have found that President Biden did lie to the American people about his own knowledge of his family's foreign business dealings. Eyewitnesses have testified that the president joined on multiple phone calls and had multiple interactions. Dinners resulted in cars and millions of dollars into his son's and his son's business partners. We know that bank records show that nearly $20 million in payments were directed to the Biden family members and associates through various shell companies. The Treasury Department alone has more than 150 transactions involving the Biden family and other business associates that were flagged as suspicious activity by U.S. banks. Even a trusted FBI informant has alleged a bribe to the Biden family. Biden used his official office to coordinate with Hunter Biden's business partners about Hunter's role in Burisma, a Ukrainian energy company. Finally, despite these serious allegations, it appears that the president's family has been offered special treatment by Biden's own administration, treatment that not otherwise would have received if they were not related to the president. These are allegations of abuse of power, obstruction, and corruption, and they warrant further investigation by the House of Representatives.
So what does this mean? What does the Biden White House do? They run, not walk, to assemble a war room. Picture this: lawyers huddled together with legislative aides and communication staffers, scribbling away on their legal pads as if their lives depended on it, and their jobs. Let's not forget the Democrats in Congress. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries was quick to stand in front of the cameras to declare that not a shred of evidence existed against Biden. Really? Not a shred? That's a bold claim. Watch.
Extreme MAGA Republicans have launched an illegitimate impeachment inquiry that is a kangaroo court, fishing expedition, and conspiracy theater rolled into one. There is not a shred of evidence that President Joe Biden has engaged in wrongdoing. There is not a shred of evidence that President Joe Biden has committed an impeachable offense. There is not a shred of evidence that President Joe Biden has committed a crime. This is an illegitimate impeachment inquiry. Period. Full stop.
Well, if there's anybody that knows something about illegitimate impeachment inquiries, it would be the Democrats. These clips are going to come back to haunt them. So here comes the delicious irony, or should I say the desperation. Ian Sams, who speaks for the White House, drafts a memo. This isn't a plea to the American people to believe in their president. No, it's a plea to the media. You heard me right. The White House is asking for media protection. Sams suggests that it's time for the media to ramp up its scrutiny of Republicans who have dared to question the great and powerful Joe Biden. Now, if you're sick of this political toxin and you just want to feel rejuvenated, here's something to consider. Pure Body Extra is not just a gimmick. It's science. It's made from zeolite. This spray is clinically proven to detoxify your body at the cellular level. Just as you'd want to cleanse the political system from corruption, you can cleanse your body from toxins. Our partners at Touchstone Essentials are offering this to you, our viewers, for just $5. So head over to detoxwithgary.com to claim your exclusive offer. Now back to the matter at hand. Why the desperate media call to the media? Could it be perhaps that they're reading the same writing on the wall that we are? Maybe they're apprehensive that the GOP is onto something. It isn't just hearsay. We've got people like Representative Scott Perry pointing out that the media is failing to report on the GOP findings. When a reporter brushed it off as political revenge, Perry called it like it is, because you don't report on it. Watch this again.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I just ask, what actual evidence do you have as opposed to allegations to show to the American public that would merit an actual impeachment inquiry of Joe Biden and prove that today isn't just about some of you?
Oh, I don't know.
McCarthy for the sake of enacting political revenge.
This isn't about political revenge. We have the bank accounts. We can see, ma'am, you can see that the homes that the Bidens own can't be afforded on a congressional or Senate salary. You also understand that it's not normal for family members to receive millions of dollars from overseas interests. Those things aren't normal. That's not normal to have 20 shell companies. These things are not normal, and it alludes to not only just widespread corruption, but money laundering, if not influence peddling itself. And we also have the vice president at the time on record saying that the prosecutor was fired. Well, son of a bitch, the prosecutor was fired, right? Because the prosecutor was going after the company that his son was working on. That's what we have. If you can't see that, if you are that blind, look, I'll turn it over to the attorneys.
People can't see that. They think it's political
It's
revenge.
because you don't report on it.
You're not,
We're here reporting on it today.
I'm not sure how you know what the American people think, but here's what they might wonder.
So it's not a mystery, folks. The New York Times has already expressed that Republicans, in their eyes, lack sufficient evidence. But here's the catch. The same paper also admits that there's enough to warrant further investigation. It's like saying there's smoke but no fire, yet let's not bother checking for a matchstick. So let's be straightforward. If the White House is innocent, if Biden is not engaged in any of the corrupt practices he's being accused of, then why the rush to enlist media intervention? Why not let the investigation run its course? Let's not dance around the real issue here. This isn't just an impeachment inquiry. It's a question of integrity, not just of Joe Biden, but also of the media outlets that are supposed to serve as the fourth estate. Do they scrutinize the powers that be, or do they become their mouthpiece? And I dare say, if the Trump administration had drafted a similar memo to the media, the uproar would be cataclysmic. Terms like autocracy and dictatorship would be plastered across every front page in Chiron. Why? Because enlisting the media to fight political battles raises questions that go beyond politics, touching the very core of our values. This isn't just about the future of Biden's presidency. This is about the future of our society that relies on checks and balances and, yes, a free and independent press. When the White House feels so cornered that it openly recruits the media to act as a firewall against accountability, the message it sends is far more troubling than any political scandal. It reveals a grave insecurity, a fissure in the foundation that we all stand on. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is a very alarming development for any American who believes in the integrity of our political process and the role of journalism in our society. When the White House openly pleads for media intervention to ward off a constitutionally sanctioned impeachment inquiry, it reveals a level of desperation that we should all be gravely concerned about. This isn't a simple left versus right issue. It's about the fundamental principles that our great nation was built upon. If a sitting president can attempt to use the media as a shield against accountability, what does it say about the state of our republic? We the people must demand better because the future of this great nation's at stake. So if you think you can just sit back and let this unfold, think again. The security of our nation relies on vigilance. A major ruling in New Mexico on gun control. Angie, what is the latest?
A federal judge just hit pause on New Mexico Governor Michelle Lujan Grisham's 30-day ban on concealed and open carry of firearms. Issued under the disguise of a public health order, the ban has met with robust resistance. New Mexico gun owners openly defied it, and law enforcement refused to back it up. The Firearms Police Coalition broke the news, warning Grisham of a tough legal road ahead. Even the state's Attorney General Raul Torres and County Sheriff John Allen, both Democrats, disagreed with the governor. They called the ban unconstitutional and pledged to defend citizens' Second Amendment rights over a controversial public safety order. This restraining order sends a clear message: state power has its limits, especially when infringing on constitutional freedoms. Dive deeper, get the whole story by tapping the link in our bio. Gary, we've got a report on how Gold Star moms perceive Trump and Biden. What are they saying?
In this special report, we delve into the story of heartbreak and healing, betrayal and honor. The families of America's bravest, the Gold Star families, find themselves at a crossroads of two contrasting presidential experiences. Don't take my words for it. Hear from the Gold Star moms and dads who have lived through this emotional journey. One president salutes with heartfelt tears and handwritten notes. The other glances at his wristwatch. We're going to walk you through this remarkable tale of polar opposites, but you don't want to miss our final thought, a revelation that underscores just why this story should matter to every patriotic American. So, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we examine the profound contrast between how President Donald Trump and President Joe Biden have treated Gold Star families, families who've given the ultimate sacrifice for this great nation. The evidence is irrefutable. Trump's empathy for these American heroes shames Biden's cold indifference. This story isn't just a fleeting headline, it's a glaring testament to the state of our leadership. And if you think I'm being biased, don't just take my word for it. Listen to the mothers and fathers who've lost their sons and daughters serving our country. First, let's talk about President Trump's extraordinary evening honoring Gold Star families. The former president hosted these families at his golf club at Bedminster, New Jersey. Paula Knauss Staff, the mother of fallen Army Staff Sergeant Ryan Knauss, was among those who attended. Self, who was moved to tears as Trump wrote on her son's photo, "You are my hero," echoing the very words that she used to describe her own son. And here's Paula Self 2 years ago, grieving her son shortly after the Kabul airport bombing. Watch.
News reporter Wendy Lane spoke to the mother who says her son died a hero.
Paula Knauss says since birth, her son Ryan's destiny was to be a soldier.
He did his first push-up on the first hour he was born, so he was military ready from the start.
Ryan Knauss grew up playing war with his brother, and at 14, he joined ROTC, telling his mom about his dream.
I want to do what I really want to do, and that is be in the military.
At 17, he signed up for the Army, and by 23, he was already a staff sergeant. Just a few weeks ago, he volunteered to take a second tour in Afghanistan on a last mission to help get people out.
He said, "You don't get it, Mom. This is what I was meant to do."
Ryan worked at the gates of the airport in Kabul, checking the paperwork of the people coming through.
Tuesday, Ryan sent me a message, and he said, "All's fine, Mom. I love you."
That was the last time Paula ever heard from her son.
So sad. Self, who now serves as the executive director of Respect and Remember Foundation, said the contrast is stark with the president we met at Dover Air Force Base. Yes, you guessed it, she's talking about President Biden. Ladies and gentlemen, that's not merely a difference in style, it's a difference in substance and character and in values. But here's where the story takes a shocking twist. President Biden, who had an opportunity to show compassion to Self at the event for Gold Star families in Washington, D.C., fell egregiously short. What did Biden offer? A photo op? A photo op, ladies and gentlemen. When Self requested the photo be taken at her son's tombstone at Arlington National Cemetery, Biden declined, citing Secret Service reason. So much for having mercy on the people he serves. Now, this is the point in the show where we do talk about something in a way that symbolizes this entire situation. Remember that we're living in a time when our government is printing money like there is no tomorrow. So let me draw an analogy for you. The U.S. dollar has lost 85% of its value since it's decoupled from gold in the 70s. While our leaders act with such disrespect, remember that gold remains constant. It withstands the fluctuating values of policies and of those in charge. That's why I trust Noble Gold Investments. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com or dial 877-646-5347 for a free 24-karat quarter-ounce gold standard coin. Invest in something that withstands the test of time. Now, back to the stark contrast in leadership. Self wasn't alone in her sentiments. Christy Chamblin, mother-in-law of the late Sergeant Nicole Gee, found Trump to be way more than I expected. Darren Hoover, who lost his son, Marine Staff Sergeant Taylor Hoover, added that while Biden was busy checking his watch at Dover Air Force Base, Trump gave families hope that accountability and justice will be coming. Yes, Biden checked his watch not once, but repeatedly as America's bravest were returned in caskets. You can't make this up. If that's not a moral disgrace, I don't know what is. Watch. And there's Joe, seemingly in a moment of respect for our fallen. And what happens? Oh, there's the watch check. Oh, so slick, but so disrespectful. Unbelievable. Now, Marlon Bateman, an executive advisor to the Utah Attorney General who also attended Trump's gathering, shared more heartwarming details. Trump unexpectedly joined the families for dinner, prompting cheers and playing songs for couples to slow dance to. Bateman witnessed the anxiety, stress, and anger dissipate from the faces of those who had lost so much. In a single evening, Trump did what Biden's administration has consistently failed to do: provide an overdue moment of recognition and solidarity for these grieving families. And what did the Biden administration have to offer in return? A recent report calling the disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal a success, not to mention Biden's own claim that the withdrawal was responsible, deliberate, and safe. You see, ladies and gentlemen, it's not just the media painting this contrast, it's the voices of the grieving families themselves, the voices of those who've lost the most, contrasting a leader who listened to them with one who offers nothing but empty words and cold shoulders. Is this the America we want? One where leaders turn their backs on those who've given everything for our freedom? It's time we take a hard look at the men that we've put in charge and remember the values and principles that should guide us all. The difference is clear. One leader offers compassion and genuine concern, while the other offers photo ops and a glance at his watch. This America is the choice we face. This is not about party lines. It's about moral fiber, about the heart of our nation, and it's something every American should deeply ponder. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's not lose sight of what matters here. This isn't about politics or the ping-pong game of who's right or wrong on Capitol Hill. No, this is about the soul of our nation. It's about how we treat those who've given everything for the freedoms we so often take for granted. President Trump, in one evening, offered these grieving families something that no government program or policy could ever provide: a moment of peace, a slice of dignity, and a touch of humanity. President Biden, on the other hand, gave these families a painful lesson in how their sacrifices can be brushed aside by the very institution that sends their loved ones to fight. So as you go about your day, think about the character of the leaders you choose. Consider what it means to have a commander-in-chief who either upholds the dignity of the office or tarnishes it. We owe it to these Gold Star families, and indeed to ourselves, to demand better. And that, my friends, is a choice that will define us for generations to come. The GOP primary is heating up in Iowa, according to new polls. Angie, what are the details?
The road to the White House starts in Iowa, and the heat is on among Republican contenders. Trump is leading the pack with 46% in Iowa polls. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has slipped to second place at 15.8%. But don't count out the others. Senator Tim Scott and former Governor Nikki Haley are gaining ground. Speaking of Haley, a CNN poll has her beating Biden head-to-head, 49% to 43%. That's right. The former UN ambassador is showing she's a force to be reckoned with. So as Iowa sets the tone for the primary season, it's a tight race with Trump, DeSantis, Scott, and Haley all in the game. The Republican Party is looking at a bright future, the key to unity and a steadfast candidate to take on the left's agenda. Dive deeper, get the whole story by tapping the link in our bio. Major developments in the ongoing cyber attack in Vegas. Gary?
This is a red alert you can't afford to ignore. What if I told you that what happens in Vegas might not stay in Vegas? For 3 straight days, a hacking nightmare has paralyzed a city that never sleeps, and the media is too busy talking about other distractions. We have groundbreaking updates for you tonight. MGM Resorts still down. Caesars Entertainment caved and paid a ransom. And all this might just be the very tip of a very dangerous iceberg. You want to hear about this, especially our final thought? We're connecting the dots that others are failing to see. When I signed off yesterday, I didn't think I'd be coming back to this studio with a story quite as alarming, quite as revealing of our nation's vulnerabilities as the one we're about to discuss tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Las Vegas, the glittering jewel of American entertainment, the city of dreams and decadence, is currently in a digital chokehold. The cards have turned, and in this high-stakes game, the house doesn't always win. It's unimaginable, really. MGM Resorts, an icon not just in Las Vegas but around the world, is in the midst of a digital catastrophe. What started as a day of sun and slots for many turned into a sleepless night of confusion and concern. Tourists have described scenes straight out of a dystopian novel: credit card machines, beeping errors, high-tech room controls going haywire, and most eerily, casino floors filled with the ghostly silence of halted slot machines. If you want a visual, here it is.
Phone's broken since yesterday at Aria. Look at this. All the slot machines, guys. All the slot machines are down. Believe it? There's a few that are still operating, but I think you can't cash out. Anyways, probably Aria got hacked. Look at this. Crazy. All right, time for some blackjack.
Unreal. Can you imagine being on vacation and seeing this? What's astonishing, even to me, is that in a mere 10 minutes, MGM's vast empire was held hostage. 10 minutes. That's the time it takes most of us to grab a coffee. This incident poses a profound question. If a powerhouse like MGM can so easily be undermined, are any of our institutions safe? Their public statement, which absurdly assures everyone in operations is currently operational, is reminiscent of a captain announcing that all is well while the ship sinks. The denial, the sheer audacity, is concerning. Now over to Caesars Entertainment. Whisperings from inside tell a story that's even more harrowing. Reports suggest that the resort didn't just grapple with the cyber onslaught, they surrendered to it. By paying off the hackers, Caesar has not only put a price on their operations, but also set a precedent for every malicious digital group out there. They've essentially advertised that America's entertainment giants can be held hostage. Watch.
Las Vegas is still under a cyber attack. This is day 3. Here is everything that's not being reported by the media. This is the wildest update yet, so listen to the end. Thanks to the power of social media, with both employees and guests sharing information, the word is spreading. All MGM resort properties are being held ransom by a group of cyber attackers. Pause to read some of the shared information, but the most important leaks to come out have been from Caesars Entertainment employees who said they were hacked in the last couple of weeks, and that Caesars paid the hackers off. And just hours after being posted, it was confirmed that Caesars did pay off hackers. Currently at all MGM properties, systems are still down. Guests are reporting odd charges on their credit cards. Some elevators are down. All the phones are down. And in technology-based rooms, guests can't turn off lights or close the drapes. MGM has confirmed that they will pay their employees on time, but otherwise very little is being said. I'll share the information that's being given to me in the comments, and make sure to follow me for all the Vegas.
Now, a brief digression, but an important one. Our country's digital health parallels our physical well-being. And speaking of health, did you know most adults are overweight? Ignoring this can lead to catastrophe, as is neglecting cybersecurity. Consider CLA, the supplement I've recently learned about accelerates fat breakdown while inhibiting its storage. Keep your health and data protected. Enjoy a limited 51% discount at trimwithgary.com. Now, while many may think this digital assault is a Vegas exclusive issue, well, they're gravely mistaken. MGM and Caesars are titanic entities in a sprawling industry. They're not isolated in the desert. Their tendrils stretch globally. The FBI is currently neck deep in the investigation, and murmurs in financial circles suggest MGM's credit ratings might take a nosedive. So let this be clear. This isn't just about the glittering lights of Vegas Strip going dim. It's about the potential collapse of other industry giants, the looming threats to our banks, and the ever-increasing dangers to our national infrastructure. Adding fuel to this blazing inferno of concern is the idea of central bank digital currencies. The very thought that our government is entertaining the creation of a digital currency should have every American on edge. Our esteemed Representative Tom Emmer, he sees it for what it is, a potential surveillance tool not dissimilar to tools used by authoritarian regimes. Watch.
It's good to be back in the People's House, where House Republicans are ready to continue delivering on our promises to the American people. One important aspect of our common sense agenda is actually protecting Americans' financial privacy, particularly when it pertains to this lawless administrative state. That's why I reintroduced a bill yesterday called the Central Bank Digital Currency Anti-Surveillance State Act, which puts a check on unelected bureaucrats and ensures that the United States digital currency policy upholds our values of privacy, individual sovereignty, and free market competitiveness. Recent actions from the Biden administration have made it clear that they are not only itching to create a digital dollar, but they're willing to trade Americans' right to financial privacy for a surveillance-style CBDC. This bill ensures the future of crypto is in the hands of the American people, not the administrative state, by prohibiting the Federal Reserve from creating a tool with unfettered insight into Americans' financial data. If not open, permissionless, and private, like cash, a CBDC is nothing more than a CCP-style surveillance tool that can be weaponized to oppress the American way of life. We're not going to let that happen, not on House Republicans' watch. And I want to thank the Financial Services Committee for considering our bill this month, and we're going to continue working to ensure that the digital economy is designed by Americans and emulates American values.
When our financial infrastructures, like the ones MGM and Caesars rely on, are threatened, it's a ripple effect. It's not just their problem, it becomes our problem. Imagine if a similar attack hit our nation's CBDC if it was implemented. The fallout wouldn't just be a few inconvenienced tourists, it would be a nation plunged into financial chaos. Friends, we stand on the precipice of a new age. The digital realm is no longer a mere convenience. It's a necessity intertwined with our daily lives. And as we've seen with MGM and Caesars, it's also our Achilles heel. We need to recognize that with great technological advancements comes great vulnerabilities. As our world becomes more connected, our exposure to threats multiplies. Las Vegas is a city built on risks and rewards, bets and bluffs, but this recent cyber onslaught shows that the stakes have never been higher. It's a stark reminder that while we might enjoy the thrill of the gamble, there are some bets we simply can't afford to lose. So tonight, as you settle into your beds, remember the guests in MGM who can't control their room lights, or the high rollers at Caesars who can't access their digital funds. This isn't just a Vegas issue. It's a clarion call for America, and we must answer it.
Philadelphia and surrounding areas can finally breathe a sigh of relief as the Pennsylvania State Police capture a convicted murderer, Daniello Cavalcante, after a 14-day manhunt. Cavalcante, a 34-year-old illegal immigrant from Brazil, made headlines for his cold-blooded murder of his girlfriend in front of her kids and his jaw-dropping prison escape. How did he get out? He crab-walked up walls and walked out the front door. Cavalcante's criminal history isn't new. He fled Brazil in 2017 to escape murder charges. ICE wanted him deported, but let's get real, they're swamped. Last year alone, ICE issued over 78,000 detainees for criminals with records. Yet not all can be deported. The time is now to tighten up immigration policies and keep Americans safe. This isn't just a police issue, it's a national security issue. Dive deeper. Get the whole story by tapping the link in our bio. A dramatic move in Georgia in response to the Biden administration's economic policies. Gary?
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a rare sighting tonight, a politician actually doing something for the people. Georgia Governor Brian Kemp is declaring a state of emergency in response to Bidenflation. But don't get too excited. This isn't a Lifetime movie where everyone ends up happy. No, Kemp may be suspending the gas tax temporarily, but let's remember he's been called a Trump backstabbing rhino. And still, if you're reeling from the economic tornado that Bidenomics has whipped up, you might want to stay tuned because we've got details on Kemp's executive action, the fumbling Biden administration, and most importantly, why all this matters to your bottom line. Trust us, you don't want to miss our final thoughts. It's going to be a jaw-dropper. Now, here's the scoop. Georgia's Governor Kemp decided he's had enough of watching his fellow Georgians suffer while Biden takes yet another nap. So he signs this executive order declaring a state of emergency because of, you guessed it, Bidenflation. But that's not all. Kemp didn't stop at saying pretty words. He actually did something. He temporarily suspended the state's excise tax on motor and locomotive fuel. Wow. A politician taking action. It's like seeing Bigfoot riding a unicorn. So what does this mean for you, the hardworking Georgian? Well, beginning now, you can fill up that gas-guzzling truck of yours and pay a little less at the pump until October 12th. Kemp says that this is direct relief to families throughout the state. It's a small win, but in the Biden economy, we got to take what we can get. Kemp also takes a swipe at the Biden administration for causing this mess in the first place. Quote, runaway federal spending to policies that hamstring domestic energy production. All Bidenomics has done is take more money out of the pockets of the middle class. That's what he said. So Kemp takes matters into his own hands, at least temporarily, and brings some respite. Watch.
Hello and thanks for joining us tonight. That pinch at the pump as gas prices have risen should go away around midnight.
Governor Kemp signed an executive order to temporarily suspend the gas tax. Camila Williams is live at Murphy Express on Gray Highway, hopefully not filling up the tank.
Hi, Frank and Lori. Yeah, well, I think I will certainly wait until tomorrow, but I did talk with people today, just going around town at the gas stations to hear their thoughts about the gas tax suspension and how much they usually pay when they're at the pump.
Yeah, the gas prices weren't getting any cheaper.
Being flexible is up, down, like it's not balanced.
Willie Davis decided to fill up after going to a doctor's appointment this morning. When I introduced myself, I told him the news.
He told me the gas taxes will be starting tomorrow. I just cut it off at $20 and just fill up tomorrow.
Governor Kemp signed an executive order to temporarily suspend the gas tax in Georgia, meaning Georgians will save about 31 cents per gallon on gas. Rita McCrary is traveling through Macon for a conference. She says she likes the sound of cheaper gas prices.
Makes me feel great because everything's on the rise and not the down. So, and everybody needs gas. You can't go anywhere without paying for gas.
Last year, Kemp suspended the gas tax from March to December. According to Kemp's office, Georgians saved about $1.7 billion at the pump. McCrary says she always looks up the cost before filling up her tank.
And I'm not going to burn up gas to go get cheaper gas. So if it's within a 5-mile radius, I'm going to go to where that cheaper gas is. But right now, I pay $3.68, I think is what it was.
According to AAA, the current gas price in Macon is $3.54. In Warner Robins, you'll find the average gas 10 cents cheaper at $3.45. Davis says low-cost gas is relief.
The groceries are high, everything is going sky, it's rocketing. So you have to just go where the bargains are.
Before we proceed, let's pause for a moment. While some politicians are busy playing golf or posting selfies, aging is causing muscle loss in Americans over 30. We get it. Life is hard, especially with inflation, but don't let Bidenomics make you physically weak too. That's why I recommend a product that boasts ingredients like MyHMB, creatine, betaine, and vitamin D3. If Kemp can try to combat economic muscle loss in Georgia, you should take charge of your physical muscle loss too. Claim yours at gainwithgary.com for 41% off and extra gifts. Now back to the story. Here's the numbers that will make you want to weep. According to an August report from Moody's Analytics, Americans are spending $709 more per month than 2 years ago, $202 per month more than last year. The average price for a gallon of unleaded gas in Georgia is $3.84. That's higher than the national average, which is already ridiculous at $3.57. Last year, around the same time, you were paying $3.24. Thanks, Joe. Now, Kemp had suspended the state's gas tax last year as well and renewed that suspension 6 times. According to his office, the initial suspension saved Georgians about $1.7 billion at the pump. That's billion with a B. While that's commendable, let's remember Kemp is a complex character. You see, Kemp has been called a Trump backstabbing rhino. If you don't know, rhino stands for Republican name only, for those who've been living under a rock. And let's not forget Fani Willis, the Fulton County District Attorney, is pursuing a criminal investigation against former President Trump. And where is Kemp in all this? Well, let's say he's been quieter than a mouse in a cheese factory. Kemp's focus on the gas tax issue has raised some eyebrows. Some are calling it a distraction from his lackluster enforcement of the Georgia Constitution. While Kemp plays with gas prices, he's been relatively silent on issues that conservatives deeply care about. He's sort of like the guy who buys you a drink to distract you while he hits on your girlfriend. Yeah, thanks, but no thanks, Kemp. So what's next for Kemp? Well, in his statement, he assures that he'll continue to help Georgians weather the economic headwinds caused by this president, his administration, and their allies in Congress. Big words, but can he deliver? especially when a portion of his own party distrusts him. So here we are. Kemp has given Georgians a brief respite from the economic turmoil caused by the reckless Biden administration. But let's not kid ourselves. This is a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. Bidenomics is still ripping through the nation's economy, affecting your daily life in ways that a temporary tax cut can't fix. But more importantly, let's not forget who Kemp is. A man who many have labeled a rhino. A man who's soft on key conservative issues. As much as we appreciate the slight financial relief, let's remember that these actions are just a chapter in a much larger story, one that involves the very core of conservative values and the future of America. While Kemp might have thrown you a bone, don't forget to ask what the rest of the meat is.
Mitt Romney, the failed 2012 GOP presidential nominee and senator from Utah, says he's done. He won't seek another Senate term in 2024. Frankly, it's no shocker. Romney's been more of a thorn in the side of the GOP than an ally. He told the Washington Post he's disappointed in a GOP-controlled House and dreads a Biden or Trump win in 2024. Romney's criticism, purely deflecting from his own shortcomings. Romney's on-again, off-again relationship with conservative values proves he's not a team player. From impeachment votes to blasting entitlement reform, he's shown where he stands. Romney critiques the populist surge, but he's missing the point. It's not about demagoguery. It's a return to core American values he seems to have forgotten. So as far as we're concerned, Senator Romney, don't let the door hit you on the way out. Dive deeper, get the whole story by tapping the link in our bio. There are allegations of a left-wing plot targeting Trump's potential run in the next election. What can you tell us, Gary?
Ladies and gentlemen, listen up because you won't believe what's happening now. Just when you thought the playbook to stop Donald Trump had reached its most desperate levels, they've managed to surprise us again. A California attorney is suing to keep Trump off the state's 2024 primary ballot, claiming that the former president engaged in insurrection or rebellion. That's right, insurrection. It's a maneuver that's not just questionable, it's dangerous to our republic. So settle in, because tonight's special report is going to dig into the nitty-gritty of this laughable lawsuit. You don't want to miss the final thought, because it's a doozy. Oh, America, we've got a real thriller for you tonight. You see, Stephen Yagman, an attorney in Venice, California, has decided he knows better than millions of voters. Yagman is suing to bar Donald Trump from California's 2024 presidential primary ballot. His argument? Trump supposedly engaged in an insurrection on January 6th. So, what is it with the left and their constant appetite for drama? Now, Mr. Yagman, who himself served 29 months in federal prison for tax evasion, bankruptcy fraud, and money laundering, must think he's fighting some holy crusade. I guess he forgets that it's the American people who should decide the outcome of elections. Democrats are planning similar lawsuits across the country before the primaries begin. They are so afraid of Trump's popularity that they're willing to weaponize the law to try to stop him. Watch.
Legal troubles continue for former President Donald Trump. Recently, in Colorado, a group of 6 Republican and unaffiliated voters filed a lawsuit to remove Trump from the ballot. The group accuses the former president of violating the Constitution by inciting the January 6th attack on the Capitol.
It's a very, very preposterous legal theory in terms of keeping Donald Trump off the ballot. We have to remember that Donald Trump has not been charged with any sort of insurrection or rebellion.
Exactly. And by the way, those Republicans who are filing that lawsuit, they're not really Republicans. They're rhinos. So it's worth noting that the 14th Amendment was initially aimed at backers of the Confederacy. But in the universe that Yagman and his pals inhabit, Donald Trump is apparently a Confederate rebel. Does anyone else find this ironic? But hold on a moment. Speaking of being prepared for absurdities and emergencies, let's not forget that the world is changing in unpredictable ways, be it natural, political, or economic crisis. That's why you should consider My Patriot Supply and their 3-month emergency food kit. Right now, they're offering a rare 25% discount. Secure your family's future, and don't miss this limited time offer. Head to preparewithgary.com to claim your 25% discount. Now back to this farcical lawsuit. NBC News reached out to the chief election officers in all 50 states. Most are wisely choosing not to weigh in on their 14th Amendment and how it applies here. Jay Ashcroft, the Republican Missouri Secretary of State, laid it out clearly. He said, "My job is to create the process and the environment so the people can make a decision." Why is this concept so hard for the left to understand? Trump himself called the actions against him election interference and likened it to something out of a banana republic. And he's not wrong. In regards to the case aimed at kicking him off the ballot in Colorado, Trump addressed the situation in a Truth Social post. He wrote, "The group suing me in Colorado to ridiculously try and unconstitutionally keep me off the ballot on leading against DeSanctimonious by almost 50 points and beating Crooked Joe big is the Trump deranged crew, composed of many slimeballs and groups like Norm Eisen through Brookings or Just Security, Andrew Weissman, Joyce Vance et al. They are perhaps illegally working with Weissman acolyte Lisa Monaco at Injustice. I have been beating them for years, including impeachments." Well, this week's lawsuit was filed against California Secretary of State Shirley Weber, a Democrat who has yet to comment, but you can bet this won't be the last we hear of such lawsuits, as the Democrats employ every trick in the book to upend the electoral process. It's like they're allergic to fair competition. So why does this matter to you, the American voter? Because this isn't just an attack on Donald Trump, it's an attack on the very foundations of our republic. What the Democrats are attempting to do, what Stefan Jagman and those like him are attempting to do, is to rob you of your voice. This is not just about one man, it's about undermining the will of millions of voters across this great nation. And if they succeed in California, rest assured, they're going to try your state next. This is more than a fight for a spot on a ballot. It's a fight for the very soul of America. And it's a fight we cannot afford to lose. MSNBC has unearthed some intriguing Democrat chatter about Biden's reelection. Angie, what are the details?
Democrats are questioning President Biden's age and fitness for office. You heard that right. MSNBC's Morning Joe host Joe Scarborough revealed Democrats are privately admitting Biden may be too old to run again. It's not just a few whispers. Polling shows a majority, including those within the Democratic Party, are concerned about Biden serving another term. Let's not forget, Kamala Harris isn't winning any popularity contests either. The Washington Post, a liberal outlet, is even urging Biden to rethink his 2024 plans. So what's the plan, Democrats? Stick with a faltering Biden and an unpopular Harris, or try something new? The clock's ticking. America can't afford to wait. Dive deeper. Get the whole story by tapping the link in our bio. That is all the news I have for this edition of N3 Prime Time. Now back to Gary with your comments from the comment section.
Welcome to another segment of the comments section right here on N3 Prime Time. Yes, the place where we sift through the noise and social media, find the nuggets of wisdom buried underneath the rubble, and bring them to the surface for all to see. Now, tonight, we've got comments from our video, Putin Drops a Bombshell About Democrats' Trump Obsession. Let me tell you, it's electrifying how Americans are resonating with what Putin had to say. Our first comment comes from Patty, who succinctly states, "Putin's correct, thanks Democrats and rhinos." Oh, Patty, you hit the nail on the head. Isn't it something? A Russian leader is making more sense than half our own politicians. That, my friends, should be a wake-up call. When Putin looks like the voice of reason, you know we've strayed far off course. Next up is John, who wisely advises, just remember, if we vote for Trump, we must vote for those who will support and back up Trump. If we do not, we have done nothing. History shows just who supports Trump. Do your homework. John, you're speaking like a founding father. Voting is a package deal. You can't just vote for the quarterback and forget about the offensive line. They need to work together to win the game. A leader is only as good as the team that stands behind him. So yes, America, do your homework. Now let's move on to Kapler, who says Putin is speaking the truth concerning our political problems, and that's scary. Scary is an understatement. It's like discovering that the foreign exchange student knows more about American history than the teacher. If Putin can so transparently see through the sham that has become American politics, what does it say about us? Now, Cindy, you're up next. She said, we had a president in Trump that the world respected. Now we don't have any respect. Well, amen to that, Cindy. It's the cold, hard truth. Respect isn't gained by appeasement. or political correctness. It's earned through strength, clarity, and resolve, qualities that are, let's just say, lacking in the current administration. And finally, Travel Gal chimes in. It sounds like Putin gets the horrible shape this current administration has put us in. Well, you're absolutely right. When even Russia can diagnose the ailments plaguing America, we've reached a level of transparency that's both astonishing and mortifying. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for participating in the comments section. Your insights provide the street lights on this dark road we're traveling together. Don't forget to keep commenting, sharing, and engaging. Until next time, in our next segment, remember, we're not just telling you stories, we're empowering you to become the story. Let's go to our next segment and find out who we're looking at tonight. Now, for our Looking at You segment, we're focusing our attention on Javier Milei, an Argentine economist and political figure who's speaking the language that might just resonate with many freedom-loving Americans. He's got a simple but profound message. He's entering politics not to amass power, but to give it back to the people. He states in no uncertain terms that he's entering the political arena because individual freedoms are seriously endangered. He's talking about Argentina, of course, but it's a sentiment that could apply to many places around the globe, including here in the United States. And he didn't get into politics to be herding lambs, but rather to awaken lions. Watch this clip.
Are you going to go into politics?
Yes. If individual freedoms are seriously endangered, as this government is showing day by day, I believe that my time may come.
Because as we've demanded that they all leave and none have left, then let them all stay, because we're going to get involved and kick them out. Yes, to rebuild Argentina, a prosperous Argentina, a liberal Argentina, a vibrant Argentina, an Argentina that embraces the values of Alberti again, and thus in 35 years become the world's leading power. So yes, indeed, I'm going to get into politics.
I don't know why, it doesn't even matter how hard you try. Keep that in mind and design this rhyme to explain it through time. All I know, time is a valuable thing. Watch it fly by as the pendulum swings. Watch it count down to the end of the day. The clock ticks like the waves. So I'm real, didn't look out below. Watch the time go right out the window. Try to hold on, but you didn't even know. Wasted it all just to watch you go. I kept everything inside, and even though I tried, it all fell apart. What it meant to me will eventually be a memory of the time when I tried.
Do you know who you're going to vote for? Milei, no doubt about it.
Yes. Milei for sure. Milei.
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 Javier Milei.
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 Milei, I think.
Milei. Milei.
Do you want me to be serious? Milei.
I didn't get involved here to be herding lambs. I got involved to awaken lions. Long live freedom, damn it!
When I go to an election and ask for your vote, it's not so you can give me power, it's so I can give it back to you.
Freedom advances.
Yeah, I got the chills too. I should point out that Tucker Carlson is in Argentina, and he will be putting out his next episode with an interview with this guy. So I'm looking forward to that. But that phrase, awaken lions, doesn't that phrase have a certain ring to it? Here in America, we're stuck with politicians who seem more interested in putting us to sleep with empty promises rather than awakening the lion within us to stand up for our freedoms. Milei, on the other hand, is sounding like a different kind of politician, and he's sounding a different kind of alarm. When he asks for your vote, he tells you straight up it's not for him to wield power over you, but for him to hand that power right back to you. So why should Americans care about a political figure in Argentina? Because the essence of his message transcends borders. The global trend of eroding individual freedoms isn't unique to one country. It's an issue that affects us all. We in America need to heed this international call to awaken our own lions, to stand up for our own freedoms, and scrutinize those who seek to represent us. They're accumulating power, or are they fighting to give it back to us, the people? So, ladies and gentlemen, this matters to each and every American because at the end of the day, the true power in our republic should rest with the people, not with those who sit in the halls of governance. Javier Milei gets it. The question is, do we? As we wrap up tonight's episode, let's step back for a moment and look at the bigger picture, shall we? From Hunter Biden's new indictment to questionable public health orders that undermine your Second Amendment rights in New Mexico to the power struggles gearing up for the 2020 election in Iowa, tonight's stories all share a common thread: the chipping away of American freedom and the integrity of our institutions. Take, for example, the attempted impeachment of a sitting president and the rush to protect him by appealing to the media. It's like watching a referee in a soccer match suddenly decide to play for one team while still wearing his referee's uniform. It's a betrayal of trust, an erosion of objectivity that shakes the very foundation of our republic. And speaking of shaking foundations, MGM Resorts and Caesars faced cyber attacks that disrupted their operations in the blink of an eye. The vulnerabilities in our digital infrastructure are akin to cracks in a dam. Ignore them long enough and the whole structure could collapse, leaving us all underwater. Whether it's Georgia's temporary solution to soaring fuel prices or Mitt Romney's departure from the Senate stage, our leaders often treat symptoms and not diseases. They're like physicians handing out aspirin for a broken leg, never addressing the root cause. Let's not forget the elephant in the room, or should I say the Democrat donkey. Even their own ranks are questioning Biden's ability to lead. If that doesn't raise red flags, I don't know what will. America's at a crossroads, folks. The decisions we make today will echo in the halls of history. But remember, this is your country as much as it is mine. Let's keep the dialogue going and always fight for what makes this country great. So that wraps up tonight's episode of N3 Primetime. A big thank you to Angie for delivering those crucial news briefs, keeping us all well informed. To those of you who participated in our live chat, your engagement keeps the fire of discourse burning bright into the nation. It's you who make the conversation dynamic and ever-evolving, so thank you. Before we go, let's give a nod to our invaluable sponsor, Noble Gold Investments. Just like we talked about the vulnerabilities in our digital infrastructure and the shaky grounds of our political landscape, your financial future can be equally precarious. We're staring down the barrel of inflation, and the U.S. dollar has lost 85% of its value since detached from gold in the 70s. Don't you think it's time to fortify your personal economy? Noble Gold Investments is like the digital firewall for your financial health. They're offering you a free quarter-ounce gold standard coin when you invest. Visit nextnewsgold.com or call 877-646-5347. And if you're not investing, give them a call and tell them thank you for sponsoring this program, because they are the company, the gold company, I put my trust in. As always, thank you for making N3 Primetime a part of your evening. Stay engaged, share the link, tell a friend, and most importantly, never forget, you're not just the key to making America great again, you are the stewards of its future. I'm Gary Franchi. I'm not here to manufacture followers. I'm here to help forge leaders among the people. Good night, America.